Hi, hello, welcome friends. Today we are going to start the Plato concept. In the Western political thought, Plato is one of the greatest political thinker. So we are going to today hear the audio and visual notes of the PSIR, and this notes is based on the Shubhra Ranjan ma'am class. So just hear the class. It's in a quick revision material for you. So let's start the Plato. Okay. Plato is known as the father of philosophy, political philosophy. Father of philosophy or political philosophy. Why? On the basis of theory of knowledge. What is knowledge? Knowledge is what Plato tells. It is said that Plato is a philosophy and philosophy is Plato. It is said that entire Western political philosophy is nothing but a footnote to Plato and Aristotle. Now, Aristotle known as the greatest disciple of Plato as well as the greatest critic of Plato. Should we call Aristotle critic of Plato? No, we should see him rectifying Plato's ideas, thus giving a better version of a Plato. Plato belonged to Athens, a city-state in ancient Greece. Athens was one of the most glorious states of Greece. However, it was in the state of downfall during the time of Plato. Plato belonged to the family of aristocrats. He wanted to make a career in politics. However, he moved from active politics towards philosophy. A politician turned philosopher. For example, in Indian M. N. Roy, in the words of Hannah Arendt, Plato moved from the life of action towards the life of contemplation. In India, Aurobindo Ghosh. What made Plato to shift his career? The defeat of Athens at the hands of Sparta, the Peloponnesian War, the rival state of Athens, the defeat of Athens at the hands of Sparta compelled Plato to find out the causes. And not just find out the causes, but also give suggestion to regain the glory of Athens. What was the objective of Plato? To make Athens great again. Death of Socrates, Plato considered himself as a disciple of Socrates. Plato considered Socrates the wisest man. Plato used to say that I am thankful to God. I am lucky that I am born in the age of Socrates. Socrates was ordered by the rules of Athens to drink hemlock poison. Why? Because he is accused of misleading the youth by the state. How? As accused by the state, Socrates was promoting disbelief, distrust in the gods. How death of Socrates impacted Plato? Plato's hatred towards democracy is because of death of Socrates. What Plato realized about the fundamental problem in Athens? Athens has been ruled by the fools. So Plato suggested that until philosophers are the rulers or rulers learn philosophy, there is no end to the predicament of human life. Thus, the institution problem of philosopher king is the most important contribution of Plato towards political philosophy. Plato wanted Athens an ideal state. The ideal state is the state which is governed by the philosopher king. Who was Socrates? Socrates is known as the father of philosophy. He gave the theory of knowledge. Who was Socrates? Socrates is known as the father of philosophy. He gave the theory of knowledge. He is also known as father of ethics. Ethics is a branch of philosophy which deals with human conduct, character building. Ethics. Man is at the center of the ethics. It is due with human life. Ethics is about telling what constitutes good life for humans. How people used to describe Socrates? The wisest man. Socrates did not believe that he is the wisest, and therefore he went to ask questions from the people. Because he knows that he knows nothing. What was the problem with the others? Because they were unaware, ignorant, and they were ignorant also. Problem? Arrogance. The Socrates, the biggest evils are ignorance and arrogance, one dependent on other. Hence, Socrates believed that knowledge is a source of good life. And in order to gain knowledge, one has to be humble. Even in the Sanskrit text, it is said that Vidayati Vinayam Vinayam Dadati Patrathama. How Socrates used to describe himself? Gadfly, one who irritates, one who makes others as uncomfortable. Why he is called as a gadfly? Because Socrates used to ask uncomfortable questions. At the same time, he never give answers. Means he leaves people in judge. He does not give answers because he knows nothing. Who is Socrates? Socrates is an ideal teacher. What is the role of teacher? Not to tell the answers. Who motivates the students to seek answers by themselves? Why? Why? He believes that all humans are rational. Just a minute. What is the role of teacher? Not to tell the answers. Who motivates the students to seek answers by themselves. Why? Because he believes that all humans are rational. Knowledge is imprinted in our soul. Imprinted in our soul. We only require technique to know our souls. Who was Socrates? Socrates is a philosopher of agora. Agora means marketplace. Socrates tries to educate the common man on the street. That was a mistake. That is why which made Socrates the first martyr of philosophy. Socrates as the father of philosophy. Socrates' theory of knowledge. Unexamined life is not worth living. Virtue is knowledge. Know thyself. Why Socrates is known as the father of philosophy? One who has defined knowledge. One who has set the narrative of knowledge. Whether Socrates is the first person to give the theory of knowledge? If not, then why he is called as the father of philosophy? Socrates is not the first person. And there were philosophers before Socrates also. Greek philosophy before Socrates. Pre-Socratic thinking. Just a minute. Since man is real intellectual curiosity, since the man is rational, intellectual curiosity is natural. The ancient Greek scholars tried to understand the mysteries of universe. First generation intellectuals, example Homer, Iliad and Odyssey, God-based explanation or metaphysics, superhuman, supernatural. Second generation naturalist, those who understand the physical world. There are two dimensions of universe: spiritual, material, or physical or natural. Spiritual dimension, rationalisms, metaphysics. Natural dimension, empirical physics. There are philosophers who are not satisfied with the God-centric explanation. They thought to first understand the natural world, that is physical world, that is the world in which we live, which we see. Pythagoras told the way to understand the mysteries of the universe. He believed that universe is based on the principle of harmony and equilibrium. Things are in the ratio and proportion. The mysteries can be expressed in the form of formula, concept. It is the language of mathematics. However, Pythagoras is not a pure naturalist. He is also a spiritualist. It is believed that Pythagoras visited India. From India, he learned the concept of soul. Soul is an Indian concept, and very few Western scholars use this concept. Plato is one of them. In Western world, the concept of spirit is used rather than the soul. Soul, eternal, purely spiritual. Soul never dies. Then comes another philosopher, Heraclitus. He told about the property of the physical world is change. This world is the world of change. We never step in the same water twice. Why? Because this world is a world of change. What change? Live in the moment. Parmenides, thinker of permanence, ridden towards metaphysics, going back to metaphysics beyond the physical world. Metaphysics is also a branch of philosophy which deals with the study of being God. Being means truth, God, which is not changing. Truth is ultimate reality. Truth is ultimate reality. Parmenides held that if we understand things, it is possible only when we have an idea of permanence. If change is the feature of this world, permanence is also the feature of this world. Can we see permanence? No, because we can only see the physical world. What is the characteristics of physical world? It is a world of change. How to define a world which is a world of permanence? Metaphysical world beyond the physical world. If we do not see this world, how do we come to know about it? How do we come to know about it? Through reason, mind. Mind tells idea exist. Mind tells that beyond the world of fleeting experience, there is the world of permanence. It means the mind exists. How to understand mind? Reason, that is rationalism. Where is the location of reason? In our mind. Intuition. Intuition is the reason in a raw form. One has to sharpen the reason. How? By challenging, questioning the reason. Humanist. After naturalist, emerged the philosophers who believed that the most important object of knowledge is human rather than nature. Why? Because humans are the most advanced, highest creation of God. What to study about humans? Not just their, just a minute. What to study about humans? Not just their physical elements, but their spiritual element, the spirit of humanity. Studying the essence of humans, human ethos, thus emerged ethics. According to them, the most important question is not what is life, protoplasma, rather what constitutes good life. Ethics is a study of good life. How to know about good life? Book of Religion. These philosophers reject religion as a mythology or dogma. Instead of religion, they prefer to rely on reasoning. First school, sophist. The term sophist comes from Sophia, means knowledge, wisdom. If we look at their philosophy, we can call it as a practical wisdom. How to lead a good life in this world? Since this world is a world of matter, we need material resources, money and power as a source of good life. Gorgeous. This is to limit human reasoning. We cannot understand the world of God. Nothing can be said with certainty about God. Skepticism, putting everything under the scanning, questioning. Ethical relativism, nothing is right and wrong in absolute sense. For example, those who believe God exists may also be right, and those who believe, just a minute, exist may also be right. Right and wrong is a relative. Things depends on time and space. Different people experience truth differently. It depends upon their experience. Protagoras, man is a measure of everything. Humanism, man is the center of universe and not God. Who should decide how man should live? Man himself. The sophists represent humanism, skepticism, relativism. They believe that we need money and power to lead a good life. How to get money and power? At what time? At that time, Athens was democracy. In democracy, people came to power by swaying public opinion. How to do this? Public speaking, rhetorics. Use language as a resource. Command over language. Develop capacity of argumentation. One should have capacity to argue from any point of view. Humanism led to the development of philosophy. And ethics. Ethics different from religion because it is based on philosophy, rational argumentation. What is sophism? What are the significance of sophists? Once, sophists were the dominant philosophers. Which type philosopher? Political philosophers. What is their philosophy? Practical wisdom, how to lead a good life in this world. Materialism, individualism, relativism, skepticism. Sophists are also known as the first political teachers, educationists. What they were teaching? Rhetorics, public speaking, sophistry, smart use of language and words. To create impact, they believe that one should develop the skill to prove any side of argument. Right. Ethical relativism. Sophists were teaching the rich people. Why? Education in Athens was privatized. It was not state sponsored. It is not the state sponsored. It cannot be universalized. Opportunities will depend upon capacities and willingness of parents, parents or guardians. Since education was privatized, sophists were charging fees. Socrates went to study as he is from elite class, studied from sophists, learned to build rhetorics, built his own education institution, rival to sophists. Socratic tradition. Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. Who is Socrates? He is also an educationist, teacher. Socratic tradition is the rival tradition of sophists. According to Socrates, sophists are not the right teachers. They were charging money. This means they are not true to their profession. They cannot do justice to their profession because they were teaching for money. They will not impart the right teaching. Socrates or Plato held sophists responsible for Athens' downfall or decline. Why Plato said so? Because Plato believes that the reason behind the fall of Athens was corruption among ruling classes. Rulers were running after money and power. Why? Sophists told that money and power are the sources of a good life. What is the source of good life? According to Socrates, virtue is knowledge. Knowledge is the source of good life. What is the problem with the sophist source of good life? That is money and power. Problem lies in the nature of these goods. These are limited goods. Therefore, they will bring strife or competition. This will impact unity, peace, solidarity. This will weaken the state and state will not be able to face the challenges. What was the problem in Athens? According to Plato, Athens was not a city. It was two cities, a city of rich rulers, city of poor masses. Hence, public morale was down, cause of defeat. Why Athens was a divided city? Due to teachings of sophists. They were teaching to earn power and money. Thus, they misguided the rulers. And the fundamental problems of Athens was ignorance of a ruling class. What was the symbol? They were thinking that money and power are the source of good life. They thought that interest of the rulers were different from the people. What is the solution? Make rulers knowledgeable or make knowledgeable person as a ruler. Being ignorance is wise. Hence Plato suggests that until philosophers are rulers or rulers learn philosophy, there is no end to the predicament to human life. Why knowledge is a virtue? Which type of goods is knowledge? Knowledge is an infinite goods. It does not decrease. Hence rulers should be knowledgeable and should encourage people to become philosophers. Hence pursuit of knowledge will promote solidarity and not strife. If knowledge is virtue, then what is knowledge? Whether the knowledge imparted by sophists is not knowledge? According to Socrates' theory of knowledge, epistemology, knowledge on knowledge. Any knowledge is not knowledge. Why to gain knowledge? The attempt to define knowledge defines with, just a minute. Why to gain knowledge? To attempt to define knowledge defines with Socrates' proposition that virtue is knowledge. Virtue is a good life. Knowledge means to a good life. Thus, Thus, the theory of knowledge is a part of Socrates' search for good life or virtuous life. What is virtue? The outcome of being virtuous is happiness. In Western philosophy, happiness is the ultimate objective of life. If happiness is the objective of life, excellence and virtue is the source of happiness. Example, when we perform any task with excellence, we get the feeling of happiness. Knowledge, truth, virtue, goodness, happiness, beauty. Satyam Shivam Sundaram. How happiness is defined in Greek's concept eudaimonia, Greek word to flourish, flourishing of the soul, growth. Growth means happiness. Knowledge is the nourishment required for the flourishment of soul. Say no. Growth means happiness. Knowledge is the nourishment required for the flourishment of soul. Education is very important for individuals. Socrates meant flourishing as a growth of human soul, converting the potentialities into actualities. Every soul has a potential. This potential will not develop on its own. Just like seed require nourishment, knowledge is the nourishment for soul. Concept of happiness is realization focused. Realization focused means conversion of political into actual by adequate knowledge and skills, proper training of human mind. The existence of human mind by which mental focus or potential develop is called dialectics, logical reasoning. Dialectics, arguments and counter arguments. What is dialectics? It is a methodology which is originally given by Socrates, known as Elenchus, but this was fully developed by Plato. In the simplest sense, dialectics is logical reasoning or discussing the truth of opinions. Our contradiction ends and our knowledge gets pure. Elenchus, Socratic method of electing truth by questioning and answer used to refute an argument. What is the purpose? It is a procedure by which we get pure knowledge. Filtration, separation between purities and impurities. Our knowledge is in raw form. This knowledge requires refinement by training. According to Socrates, knowledge is imprinted on our souls. We are born with knowledge. Every person knows what is right and wrong. Why? Because every human has a soul or mind, part of God. Dialectics can be represented in a graphical equation. Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. Pure, impure. Pure gets impure, decreases, then it gets a crystallized knowledge. This is the process of rational argument to remove the inconsistency in knowledge. Hence Socrates called himself as a gadfly, asking questions to compel people to question their beliefs. Hence Socrates believed that purpose of life is happiness. Happy life is virtuous life. Virtuous is knowledge. Every human has a potential of knowledge. Knowledge is imprinted on our souls. Dialectics is the process of enlightenment of soul or purification of soul, taking impurities out. Socrates used to ask if it's knowledge just a belief. Thus Socrates used to make a distinction between knowledge and belief. Thus for Socrates, every knowledge is not knowledge. There is a difference between knowledge and belief. Belief, which can be questioned, which can be shaken, which cause confusion. Therefore, true knowledge is eternal, cannot be challenged, unshakable, not a source of confusion, rather a source of confidence. Socrates make a distinction between knowledge and belief. Beliefs can be questioned. It can create a confusion. Contradiction is a source of confusion. Thus, true knowledge means no contradiction, means no confusion, means things should be crystal clear. Whether Socrates is giving the concept of knowledge? Yes. Concept of knowledge is a knowledge which is not belief but a pure knowledge. And a method to arrive at pure knowledge is dialectics. Hence Socrates gives the concept of knowledge. He also emphasizes that we should try to gain conceptual knowledge. When we observe the worldly things, there is a problem, means it gives rise to confusion, because this world is a world of change. Can we get the ultimate knowledge about the things which are changing? Can we get the ultimate knowledge about the physical knowledge? Can we have ultimate knowledge on the basis of observation? No. The knowledge gained through sensory. The knowledge gained through sensory organs, can it trusted completely? No. It can be an illusion. The world of senses is a world of illusions, Maya. Hence, a real knowledge is about the things which are eternal, transcendental. What is eternal? Existence or essence, concept or idea. Eternal existence is physical, essence is spiritual. Can we see concept? No. But we can understand concept. It shows that concept exists. Where is the location of concept? If concepts are eternal, they will not belong to the world of change. They belong to the world of essence or ideas. Since concept exists, so the world of idea exists. Hence the real knowledge is about the world of ideas, is about the world ideas. Where is that world? Inside us. That is inside our soul. Inductive and deductive logic from particular to general is inductive. General means generalization, means theory building, means explanation. Theory prove again and again is called as law. Inductive approach means building theories by observing a particular events and finding what is common. Heraclitus observed that worldly things and he found what is common is change. Suppose we observe them revolutions and then we found one common cause, it is called inductive approach. Is inductive approach based on observation? Yes, it is based on observation gained through senses. Inductive approach may have its limitation, as a theory will depend upon sample sign. Note, inductive approach later on led to the development of scientific approach. It is the most prominent method of theory building in natural sciences. Whether natural sciences are predominantly inductive? Yes. Based on understanding of Socrates' theory of knowledge, do you think that Socrates will put knowledge gained through inductive method in the category of knowledge? No. Why? Senses are illusionary. It cannot be permanent knowledge. Which method Socrates will use? Deductive method. From general to conclusion theory is already existing on. The basis of this we can substantiate or understood the particular instance. For example, suppose we have the theory that all humans are selfish. Prem is a human, therefore Prem is selfish. Why he goes for a deductive method? Because he does not accept the world of matter as real. World of matter is real. Hence for him idea is real and the material world is a derivative of idea. According to Socrates, God is real and individual is a derivative of God, whereas Marx, M-A-R-X, Marx believes man has made God rather than God made man. A priori, A-P-R-I-O-R-I, a priori idea exists before. Philosophical theories are predominantly deductive in nature. Summary of Socrates' theory of knowledge. Context, criticism of a sophist. Why knowledge? Source of virtue. Why virtue? Happiness. Where is the location of knowledge? Inside our soul or mind. Which type of logic Socrates is giving about knowledge? Deductive. What is the way to understand knowledge? Dialectics, that is conversation. What is the concept of true knowledge? Eternal, foundational, source of confidence. Means opposite to beliefs or assumptions. Unexamined life is not worth living. This statement from Socrates' theory of knowledge. His theory of knowledge develops as a question mark on the knowledge imparted by sophists. Sophists were imparting the knowledge that money and power is a source of good life. Socrates believes that sophists do not have understanding of true knowledge. what they think as knowledge is basically their belief. It is belief that money is a source of good life. Hence Socrates suggests that one has to examine our beliefs. The method to examine the beliefs is dialectics. Only when our beliefs get filtered through logic, they can be accepted as knowledge. The wisdom of sophists was questionable because pursuit of money and happiness, pursuit of money and power led to the decline of Athens. Socrates believed that virtue is knowledge. It means that we can have a good life only when we have true knowledge. The location of true knowledge is inside us. Hence he suggests to know thyself. Hence the term self represent inner self, that is our soul. A person whose soul is enlightened will never commit mistakes. Hence Socrates does not support the policy of punishment. He believes that people commit crime not because they want to commit crime or enjoy it. They commit crime because of ignorance. They do something believing that it will make them happy. However, the ultimate consequence of such evil deeds is sorrow. Hence, the remedy for corruption and crimes is removing ignorance. State has to provide knowledge. Hence, the most important function of state is imparting knowledge. Thus, state is essentially a pedagogic institution. Its real purpose is imparting knowledge. Gandhi's approach to punishment is influenced by Socrates. Okay friends, this is the end of Socrates. This is an audio visual notes. You just need to hear the notes. By seeing the notes, you can make it for 2.2x. You can watch it. It's going to help you make your revision very quickly. Okay friends, we will see in the next video. Thank you for the watching. If you have anything, please put in the comments. Please do like, share, subscribe. We will see in the next video. Until then, bye.